Hey, this is Lee. I want to do a quick video for men, and this is for you guys. So I want to talk about what it means to be a parent. It's really confusing for guys sometimes, and I share in videos what I deal with through counseling with people or sitting down and talking to people. And one of the things that I talk to about guys, or they talk to me about, is the confusion about what their role is as a dad. And I see this more often than not. The guy automatically thinks that he's got a son, so what he needs to do is make him tough. And then they push around and they wrestle and they do different things, and then guys that get overly grouchy and thinking that this is making their kids tough. Well, that doesn't work at all, actually. Now, here's the thing. When a child is between the ages of 2 and 5 years old, they are in a developmental stage, meaning that when they're born, they have a natural affection and connection with the mother. But in that 2 to 5 year range, they transfer some of that emotions and trust to the dad. So during that 2 to 5 year range, this is the most important time for a dad to be in a child's life. A child doesn't need to be treated rough or need to be made tough to life and all this other stuff. This is the time when young men need to be with their child, to have an emotional bond with them, to a connection, a time to put your arms around the kid or the child and hug them and reaffirm them and give them comfort and make sure that they understand that they're loved. Now, as they get older, of course, we're going to teach them other things, but in that 2 to 5 year range is a time for us to build that relationship with them that are going to be the building blocks for everything for the rest of their life. 2 to 5 years. And that's why it's important for dads to be involved in parenting, not go out and bring the money home and get home and demand to your wife, "Where's my supper at?" And then you get into this confrontational thing and you're trying to be the man. Well, what you don't realize is sitting over there is a young boy with a God-given tape recorder in his head and is recording all this. So a dad needs to be spiritually strong for his family, not just his wife, but those kids in those formative years. He needs to be that guy. And this is why it's so important for men to be Bible read, attend church regularly, and understand the relationship we have with our Father. And it'll teach us men how to have a relationship with our sons and daughters in a way that helps them develop into something wonderful. Right about 12 years old, 9 to 12, 13, somewhere in there, a young man goes through puberty. And this time in their life is extremely important. They need to have a man there to explain things, to be a part of their emotional development again, as well as, for young men at that age, they're developing desires and their body's changing. Hormones are up and down, and this is a rough time. And this is when dads need to be spending more time with their sons to help them understand the changes that they're going through. Now, I'm going to give an example that's not easy for me to give, but I'm going to give you an example of how this played out in my life. When I was 12 years old, my dad passed away, and it was a major time in my life. And he died. God called him home. He went to heaven, and I didn't have a dad. And I didn't realize until many, many years later how badly this affected me. Well, shortly after he passed away, or not shortly, sometime later, my mom remarried my stepdad. And he was a great guy. I mean, he was right there at the right time, God sent him into our lives for me. And he shored up what my dad couldn't because he died. And I mean, he took me fishing, he took me hunting, he took me to Kentucky and on this farm, and we became lumberjacks, and we cut down wood and trees and made log posts, and we sold them to a sawmill. He bought me my first gun. He bought me my first motorcycle. He shored up in me, taught me how to hunt and fish and do all these things, and it was right there. And I learned how to have a relationship with a dad. And it sounds like you would think that I should have had that before, but I mean, back in those times, and we're talking about the late 60s, early 70s, men just went to work and stayed gone all day, came home, ate supper, watched TV a few minutes, went to bed, and that was it. That was all it really did. And that's not, I'm not condemning my dad for that, but that's just what it was. So, fast forwarding back to my stepdad, he had heart problems, and he was taking a lot of medicines, and it messed him up real bad, and he became abusive because of the medicines that he was taking. And it was really bad. I mean, it went from my dad dying to this guy that really lifted my life up, and it really got me firm in my manhood, as you you might want to say. And then he got sick, emotionally and mentally sick, and then he got abusive. Then at times it was bad. And then he died. And there I was again at 15, 16, 17 years old, and I again was without a dad. And I mean, it ripped me apart, and I just didn't know which way to go. So I went from a dad to no dad to a stepdad to abusive stepdad to no stepdad. But there, and I always longed for something. I just didn't understand. And I mean, I was confused, man. I mean, I was ripped apart, and I didn't know exactly how I was supposed to do things. So naturally, I did what any young teen does in those years, and then I magnified it by 1,000. Partying and running around, and I mean, I was dating and doing things I wasn't supposed to do because I didn't have that somebody there. Excuse me. And then I went through my 20s. I got married, and you know, you do the thing and the thing, and I still didn't understand all these things, and I still didn't know what was eating at me, and I was troubled emotionally, and I didn't get it. And then at 25, 26 years old, God saved me. I went to a church and I got saved. And then it was an odd thing because it seemed like the men in the church just took me in. And there I had my dads again. Oh, this time I had 6 or 8 or 10. And these men were great. I mean, they took me hunting, and I was still hunting and fishing. I loved it. And then they shored those things back up and helped me to grow strong. But still yet, there was something missing. And then after I got saved, I started reading my Bible, and I started building a relationship with God and understanding His Word. And to be completely honest, the Word of God just went right through me. I mean, I absorbed everything. I was so hungry to understand because I didn't have a lot of examples of what Christian living is. And then one day, you know, I still had this grieving in my heart, and I didn't realize that I had it. And I was thinking about my dad and my stepdad. You know, they're gone. And the Lord spoke to me in such a wonderful way. And I can't tell you exactly what the date was, but God spoke to me and said, "I have always been your father." It was always me. And I just felt this, the Lord reached down and touched me, and I felt something go through me. And this time, I'm trying to do this without crying. This time, I had a father that's never going to leave. And then I started building confidence in God. And yes, my dad's important. And yes, my stepdad is important. But now, I have a father that's not ever going to leave, not ever going to abuse me and hit me, that's never going to just up and abandon me, because having lost two dads, I just felt like everybody kept abandoning me. There was no male figure in my life that was stable long enough for me to understand things. And now I understand that he's there. So this is why, dads, guys, this is why it's important for you to build that 2 to 5 year relationship. Learn about God. Be there. Hug your kids. Love your sons. Put your arms around them and hug them. And let them know that they're secure. And go take them fishing. Work on the car. Take them out hunting. Do whatever it is that you do. Take your boys and your girls. Take your kids along with you. And show them that they're loved. Don't yell at them all the time. Don't be getting grouchy thinking that you're being a good parent by being a bully. You have to lead by example. And how you do that is how I learned to do that, through your relationship with God. That affection and love that God shows us is exactly how we're supposed to parent. We're supposed to be a parent to our kids the way God is a parent to us. Does that make sense? That's my video. That's what I wanted to talk about. Excuse me. It's very important to be there in that time. So, don't think it's all the wife's job and she's got to take care of the kids and she's got to do this and this and that. It's your job too. I mean, when she's in there cooking, you should be in there cooking with her. When she's doing this with the kids, giving a bath or whatever it is, you should be there too whenever possible. Every step in life should have you in it, because if you really want to be a dad and you want to be the right dad, then you have to be there. Take my life example to learn from on how you should do with yours. That's my video. I love you with all my heart. I'll be back soon. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up. And be a good dad. Be a good husband. And be a good son to God. And God will help you raise your kids the way you should. Talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.